Hey folks, my name is Kaeley Jade Wiebe, and I am the festival director for the 2021 Ukrainian Village Music Fest. I am so excited to be sitting down today with Justin and Reece of Bardic Form. Rising from an impromptu living room jam in 2010, Justin and Reece quickly made a name for themselves as an engaging and award-winning acoustic guitar duo, and they've been captivating audiences ever since. From outdoor festivals to living rooms, from concert halls to coffee houses, they are a rare gem, performing something truly different and unforgettable. Without further ado, Bardic Form. So, hello, guys. It's so exciting for you to be here. Thank you so much for joining me today on this lovely, lovely day. How are you doing?
So good. It's excellent to do this. Thank you so much.
It's great. It's a lovely day. It's another great day to be inside. Just kidding. It's also a nice day to be outside today in particular. It's great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. What have you been up to since the pandemic started? How have you been?
Every day, we kind of call today Blur's Day, and yesterday was Blur's Day, and tomorrow is Blur's Day. So like my sense of time has shifted for sure. So how have I been in the pandemic? Been okay. I think I came into it with like a lot of residual energy, and then there was a period, especially over winter, where I kind of slowed down and hibernated a bit. And now that in Edmonton it's starting to get nice out again, starting to get perked up and revitalized a bit more. But otherwise, like it's been good. Been connecting with some people that are close to me, and happy to have community for sure in these times.
I've also been good. To sum it up, no, things are always good. I think we mentioned just earlier, if you have your health and a lot of it is mindset, and it's just kind of keeping that head above water. And yeah, it's tricky sometimes, but yeah, we're great. It's a nice sunny day, so we're having a great day.
That's so great. I'm glad to hear it. I know it's been like so crazy for so many people, especially artists have been hit really, really hard. So it's good to hear that you're doing well, keeping your heads afloat. So what have you kind of been up to? Like, have you taken up any new hobbies? Or I know for me, I've been hanging out with, with my pets like all the time. This is my
Who
dog
is
Gemma.
this?
This is Gemma. She's
Gemma.
Aw.
like, yeah, no, she's really sweet. So I have her here, and you might have noticed the head of my other dog, Roddy. So you have any pets that you've been hanging out with? Animal friends?
Yeah, my household recently acquired a new puppy. His name is Teddy, short for Ted Nugent, after the rock star. He's really, really cute. He's like 4.5. No, actually, we weighed him yesterday. He's 5 pounds now. So
Teddy.
he's a grown boy. And every time we want to take him for a walk, we say, "Hey, Ted, do you want to rock?" So that's fun and super cute because we have a little patch denim vest for him and everything. And he's so fun.
What kind of dog?
He's a Morkie.
Oh my gosh.
Morkie. Is that a Maltese Yorkie?
I think it's Maltese and Yorkie. Yeah. I don't know. I just call him a
Morkie.
Morkie. But I know it is mostly Yorkie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you, Justin?
Well, so people may be wondering, these are not my bunnies in the background. These are just bunnies of a nice video I found online that was like, oh, I just want more bunnies in my Zoom call. So on that note, right before the pandemic hit in 2020, I started living with a bunny. A bunny came into my care. She's very sweet. The intention was for her to be transitioning homes from a place where she kind of had her own room, and she didn't get a ton of attention or interaction, and she was going to go to a friend's house who has had bunnies his entire life, and they're free roaming all over the house. And before that, I was really feeling lonely and wanting a pet for some companionship. Like I have, a bunch of plants, but it would be nice to have a pet. So anyway, her name's Tofu. Tofu is napping right now, but I can show you a picture. This is of her. This is Tofu.
So fluffy.
What can I say? We fell in love, and so she's living here with me now. And it's been really great. But she is a princess, and she doesn't go on hard floor, and so I have just mismatched, patchy, ugly rugs and carpet all over my house just to make sure everywhere's accessible for her. But nobody's coming over, so it's okay.
That's so great. Well, thanks for sharing your pets. Have you been up to
Mhm.
anything fun sort of lately? Have you taken up any new hobbies or learned any new skills or anything like that?
Man, I know Justin's been chefing like crazy.
I can't deny.
Yeah, you have. You've shared a few things with me over this past year that we've kind of had like just in passing, and I've been able to try these things, and they've been pretty good. And
Wow.
yeah,
Really nice.
I would claim on your behalf that you're a great chef.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is huge. It's kind of validation on a big level for me in an area that I have not had validation before. It's really nice. Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, we were talking about this yesterday. You can phrase it however you like. You have like industrial kitchen experience, like commercial kitchen experience. We'll leave it at that. You've been around.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about how much or where.
We're not going to talk about how much, but you do. And I think we should make a video showcasing your cooking skills.
Thank you, Reece. To your point, so I've been really fascinated and interested in vegan cooking for the past several years. Like that's what I'm always interested in seeing, like how people are kind of pushing those boundaries of flavor and all this kind of. I went in this YouTube rabbit hole where I watched a guy roast a watermelon, like bake a watermelon in the oven for 2 hours to like suck a bunch of moisture out of it, basted it like a roast, and then barbecued it over a fire, and then like carved into it as if it was beef, like with this texture that was unreal. So that's not necessarily what I'm doing, but that's kind of what I'm curious to see other people do. But I have been making these really amazing barbecue pulled pork oyster mushroom sandwiches with this really cool technique where it gets like really, really meaty, really dense. And we were missing potlucks. We were missing, those opportunities to get together with community. So what I did was I started a group called Cookin' Pals, which is Cookin' Pals, pals who cook, not to be confused with cooking your pals, but Cookin' Pals, where we just meet up on Zoom monthly, and we all share a recipe that's pretty easy and pretty accessible. But the intention is we get together for 2 hours. We make the thing together. We're expanding skills for people. We're teaching them how to make food that they can share with other people in their communities once we're able to. And we also have the chance to get together. Some intergenerational recipes as well. So my friend, he's Korean, he lives with his mom, and so they showed us how to make Korean noodles, which was great. But the whole point is to expand those skills and teach people things and also be together.
That's so awesome. What's been your favorite thing you've made so far?
Those mushroom pulled pork sandwiches are just bomb. They're so good. They're so good.
That sounds really good. I've had like jackfruit as a substitute for pulled pork, but I've never thought of doing like mushrooms. So that's super cool.
Let me tell you, I'll send you links.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to try that.
Do you have a story that's related to or a way to contextualize the gnocchi in your background? Can you talk about how much you love pasta or something?
It's pretty tasty, and it just makes your day better when you have it. But obviously, I would never tell any of my relatives that, because I mean, I would pick their cooking over this. But I mean, it's cheese stuff. I don't even understand. Like, I've never heard of anything such as like innovative.
Reece, is it safe to say that cheese is one of the many roots to your heart? Yeah.
Yes. Easily yes. I didn't even need to hear the question. Like, just yes.
So Reece, what have you been doing lately?
Around this time last year, as we were entering our first lockdown, I pulled out the old family accordion, sarcastically. Actually, I wanted to learn something sarcastically as a joke, and that night I found when I recognized what time it was the first time that I pulled it out, I realized that I'd been playing for 6.5 hours, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't get enough of it. And I mean, ultimately, to me, it's still like super tongue in cheek and super like, because I know. I love the instrument. I think it's a wonderful instrument. There's also a grand amount of corniness that can be applied to it, and I really like kind of playing that up when I pick it up. So I've been dabbling. I would not claim that I can play the accordion, but I have a few pieces here and there that I've been kind of messing around with, and that's a new hobby that I've been doing this year. So.
That's
nice.
Cool. I wish I had an accordion at home, but I don't. So.
Yeah.
Reece, do you have it there?
Yes, I would have to go fetch it, but it's just in our basement right now.
I can fill up 20 seconds of time while you go and fetch an accordion.
Had I known that I would have been put on the spot for this, I should have known. Maybe talking about it, I would have been prompted to play. But maybe we'll save this for another time.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe at a gig, maybe at a live performance.
Oh my gosh, it wouldn't be
That'd
the
be
first
fun.
time we busted out an instrument that I was uncomfortable playing.
True.
Yeah, Justin was-
And you crushed it.
Thank you, Kaeley. Just
Yeah.
to touch on that, just to give people kind of some insight on what we're joking about here and cackling about. 2017, we played a St. Patrick's Day gig, and I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I played classical violin for like 7 years growing up, and that was my thing. That was my thing. And then I realized, okay, I like rock music. I want to play something more kind of in your face and aggressive. So I picked up guitar. But regardless, we decided it was a good idea for the St. Patrick's Day gig that we would play a couple of jigs and reels, and I would bust out the violin. And let me tell you, there are 3 instruments that sound terrible when they're not played well. And the violin is especially poor because it's a fretless instrument, and you can go sideways so quickly. So I would suggest that it's violin, bagpipes are pretty bad, and there's a third. Name
Trumpet?
any instrument you don't. Sure. That's a great option.
Well,
It
that
was
sounds
great.
like
He
a very
was a
fun...
champ.
Yeah. Sounds
Yeah,
like a
he-
perfect St. Patrick's Day, honestly. I mean, I don't know how that could go wrong.
I also, you reminded me, I picked up the mandola as well. Like someone left a mandola at my place, and so that's been a cool thing that I explored over the winter, and I wrote a couple of tunes. I did release one of those on YouTube. If people are curious, can send that over. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess like next, I'm kind of wondering like kind of bouncing off that, like how has your artistic process sort of changed during the pandemic?
Justin, of course, you can add and edit anything that I say after. But I think for Justin and I, both the last couple of years have been a little bit lower in terms of the amount of activity that we've been engaging in musically together. So it hasn't been incredibly different. However, we are still missing, playing a few shows, live shows a year. So we have scaled back just because of other things that we're each taking care of in our lives and other goals as well. It's just been a couple years where, okay, Bardic Form isn't going to be necessarily the main focus like it has been in years prior. So I think this year it's been really great. We've had a few filming opportunities for some live streams and some studio filming, which has been really great. I know we did one in October, and then we did one just back in February, which was really fantastic. And we've also got some remote recording. We're going to be doing a live video recording in Canmore in the next week and a half. So we're really looking forward to just kind of, I guess, strategically placing ourselves and acquiring certain media that maybe we hadn't been so proactive to acquiring before.
Yeah, I think I'll touch on just kind of the creative process and the musical process for me, I think, and how that's changed from the pandemic. I think we already touched on a couple of things, which was it was a great opportunity to try new instruments and to explore things that are not necessarily the things that we have to do all the time. So, for example, Reece and I, like Reece mentioned, we were used to, like in previous years, really pushing performance as the full-time focus and not necessarily having things like spending as much time getting video and doing those kind of the things that we're now having the chance to do. But in this case, having that space allowed me to kind of explore a couple other creative things. So I started playing the handpan, which I got before the lockdown, which is an instrument that I was really, really wanting for many years that I got, I think in 2019. So I was playing that a lot. I initially started the pandemic doing some nightly live streams where I would just play, and that kind of satisfied a performance aspect for me. And then the energy kind of waned and my focus shifted a bit because it was summer, so I spent more time outside. But generally, as an artist, it was exploring new instruments and new sounds. A lot of writing alone, so or writing, and that was until I discovered more online collaborative software. So I've been using a program called Soundtrap, which is just a collaborative online DAW, which has been great. So I've been using that with some students of mine to make music remotely or make podcasts remotely, which is really great. That's something I didn't do before. And I also got a chance to really dive deep into a new tuning in the guitar that I hadn't before, like taking inspiration from some of my favorite Celtic artists, and spent some time and wrote a bunch of melodies and wrote a couple of little short songs with a friend, just using that. So just kind of using it to explore artistic avenues that were not necessarily available because of time, or not necessarily, that it had the space for initially, just because of other things we had to do. But also because of the way that the pandemic has kind of forced us to adapt and become creative in the ways that we are creative, and express that too.
That's all great stuff. Thank you so much for kind of sharing a little bit about that. I know some artists are kind of, I don't know, don't feel comfortable necessarily sharing their artistic inspirations and their processes. So like, thank you for giving us a little taste about that.
Another thing that I've been able to do over the past little while is work closely with a good friend of mine named Roya, and she's been working on an album. And there have been some of the delays coming that are inherent with COVID in working and completing the album, but it's something that is really beautiful. It's a great piece of art and great collection of music, that is really important to all of us, and that's something that we've been working on and hopefully aiming for a release this year, which is really exciting. We got to play with some fantastic other artists on the record, and I think it's being released through Bent River. So that's another thing that we got to do this year too, is kind of slowly chip away at it, and hopefully have it released later this year. Another thing I got to do was connect and liaise with a person that I collaborated on a project on many years ago. So she's an opera singer based in Germany and performing opera singer there. And she heard a track of mine, I think, 4 or something years ago. A year passed, and then she messaged me and said, "Hey, can I write lyrics over it?" And I said, "Yeah, go for it." And then she did. She came back to Canada. We recorded it, did a little video, released it, and it was kind of a quiet release. And so just this year, she wants to reinvigorate the project, and so she has a producer from the States who I think I can't remember his name, but he is a producer of some great repute and's worked with like a lot of really talented artists, has really great sounds. So he is working on adding new layers of production to the track this week actually, and I started to hear some of the new stuff, and it's great to hear the next steps of it. But it's cool because we can work remotely from Europe, Canada, and America, and kind of get a track reimagined and re-released, which is fun too.
Thank you. Now, you kind of mentioned that you've been listening to a lot of Celtic music lately, but what other artists have you been listening to a lot? Like, who's your favorite artist right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think Celtic music is something that really inspired me and Reece. Like was a big chunk of a lot of our inspiration. I think I'm okay speaking on Reece's behalf on that front, but he can also correct me. Not the entirety of our inspiration, but for sure a lot of Celtic music. I got roped into that when I was learning how to play the Celtic whistle like many years back, which was really fun. And then I kind of tapered off for me until I saw a band at the Edmonton Folk Fest, I think it was 2018, called Rura, Rura, and I just think they are easily become my favorite trad folk band that I've listened to ever. I've listened to one of their most recent album just so many times, hundreds of times. It's incredible. I've been listening to this one, a couple of songs by this Finnish vocal quartet called Tulatar. And there's one song on there that is so good on their album that I listened to. It got me through, I think, all of winter. And it also was something that I kind of pictured Bardic Form maybe doing an acoustic guitar arrangement of this 4-part like vocal Finnish quartet.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like the production is great. They have a huge emphasis on the stomp later that just sounds massive. And for me, I hear a lot of melody inspiration that sounds like something that I want to play, sounds like stuff that I want to listen to, and that it has a kind of a metal element, which is something that Reece and I both really enjoyed. And I hear that in some of the melody. And and it's also in a great time signature. I love odd time signatures too. So that's a tune that I've been listening to. And other than that, I've been trying to listen to just more local artists. Farhad Khosravi, who award-winning Farhad Khosravi is incredible. Good friend of mine, writes incredible music. So I've been listening to him a lot. Mallory and the Mystics, Noella Charles, and trying to teach some of their music to my students as well. But that's what I've been listening to. What about you, buddy?
Yeah, we've been. First of all, that's really great. I'm gonna have to listen to Tulatar now. You're gonna have to send me some links. I need that. The other day, actually, every once in a while, like you'll find something that just like really kind of blows your mind and makes you ridiculously excited about it. And I think growing up, you know, especially, I would even say like, you know, as a child and as a teenager, and kind of going through the process of just like discovering, first of all, new types of music, but also new bands, but then particular tracks. Like there was, I think for me, I don't think that that's to say that that isn't possible to have that excitement anymore, but I think it's more rare when at least I feel like incredibly so jacked about something and I'm so pumped. But I had that the other day. I came across a video of a profile on Instagram, and they posted a YouTube recording of an artist named Sami Youssef, I believe, and he's Iranian-born composer, multi-instrumentalist, and it was just the most gorgeous and well thought through piece that I've heard in a long time. And I got ridiculously excited, and there's, oh God, I would say probably over 10 people on stage. And I had to learn this one lick that they were playing, this one run, and it's far too fast for anything that I can actually currently play. So I have to slow it down, and I can still only play it at about 75%. And they just hammer through it. They're incredible. So that was really, really nice. I've also been, I've had the privilege to play some music this year with an artist in town named Shawnee Kish. So I've been listening to a lot of her stuff and playing a fair amount with her through live streams when we're able to, and restrictions are kind of eased up. But we've been able to do that quite a bit over the last year, which has been great. But yeah, that Sami Youssef is probably the thing that's made me the most excited in a long time, and that's such a great feeling when that happens.
Thank you. Yeah, this is
How do
so
we
great.
listen to this?
Gives me a lot of like really great ideas on what I'm going to listen to next, because I know I'm always on the hunt for new stuff to listen to.
Kaeley, how about you? Have
Yeah.
you heard anything incredible lately?
Oh man, I'm like the worst. But lately I've been listening to the same like 5 songs over and over. So I'm I'm like in that phase where I'm like, I need more music. I just need more music.
Tell us the 5.
Okay, so my thing right now, like I've gotten really, really into like 2014, 2015 indie rock. So my Apple Music does this thing where it just auto plays similar songs. So now that's like all I've been listening to lately. I'm like, man, this is such a good song. And I'm like, oh, it's like so old now, but it's still so good. So oh
Reece,
yeah.
we should start a playlist of music that we like for each other to listen to.
Yeah, I'd
Just
be
add
down
to
for
it.
that.
It's definitely a great idea. So thank you so much for sharing that. That's so great. I'm always on the hunt for new stuff. So thank you for that. I guess like lastly, I just want to know what's next for you guys. What do you have planned?
Well, the thing that immediately comes to mind for me is I've been training in a rising star in the music scene. He's poised to replace Bardic Form, one member at a time. It's I'm joking and also not joking. It's a student of mine that I've been teaching who expressed an interest, a guitar student who expressed an interest in learning Bardic Form songs, which is really, really exciting. So that's the first time that a student has actually expressed an interest in wanting to learn the songs. And of course, he hears melodies like Longhorn that Reece wrote, and they're so good, and they're really exciting to to guitar players that want to have something cool and flashy, and it's a great riff. So we started by just teaching him the intro to Longhorn, and then I got Reece to make a video recording of his solo at a slower speed so we could like notate it and teach it to him, and then he just turned around the next day and played it, and it's really exciting to have a student that wants to and is also at the skill level that he can play that kind of stuff. And it's also neat because he's almost the same age as Reece was when I first met him, and he started playing and he was really, really talented on the guitar. So that's not necessarily what's like next for us, but it's just a really cool development that is a first for me as an artist and a musician, and a first for us as a band to have somebody that's been so eager to learn our stuff. It's really, really cool, and he's great. So we joked about saying, yeah, you could hop on a stage with us sometime and take one of our solos. And he's like, I would not be upset about that. That would be fine. But otherwise, yeah, Reese kind of alluded to some things earlier. We have some footage that we recorded in the past 6 months that we're excited to be releasing over the next little while. We also have a video opportunity, a performance opportunity that's coming up with some great pals where we'll do a shoot of a set in Canmore. We have Reese and I have been trying to carve out some more time to write some new stuff as well, which has been really exciting. It's been nice to kind of create that time. I think I'm not sure if other artists can necessarily relate. Maybe they can, but the the dedication, the commitment to kind of making sure that you have time carved out for that to do that, like amongst all the other things that inevitably come up in life, is nice. So I'm glad that we're doing that. And yeah, Reece, can you think of anything else in the next little while that we're doing?
I think yeah, it's just about recognizing whatever the circumstances are. It's still trying to recognize, actually not trying, just doing, recognizing the opportunities that are still there, and not being bummed out due to the changes happening around you. I mean, there's still so much that you can accomplish. It might just look different. You might have to put focus on things that maybe you've neglected or haven't put as much time and effort into before, but there are continuously you are continuously presented with opportunities to better whatever it is you're trying to build and do and commit yourself to. But again, you have to commit yourself to it. So
well, great. Thank you so much for sharing and like those little words of wisdom. I mean, even myself, I'm like listening, I'm like mentally taking so many notes. Yeah, it's a real honor to have you here on the show. So thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been so great for you to have us. Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure to hear from you for sure.
This has been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, and take care. We're really looking forward to seeing your guys' performance in the festival, so make sure you stay safe.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. So thank you so much for joining us today. I had an awesome time chatting with Bardic Form, so make sure that you check out their performance at the Ukrainian Village Music Fest airing this July. Take care. See you next time.